Welcome, Emillea, to your Rock Your Body Spotlight and Fearless Rebel Radio. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I am excited to have you here too. Why don't you just tell everybody who you are, where you live?
Okay, well, I'm Emillea, obviously. I'm 24. I live in the suburbs of Chicago. Right now I sell real estate, but I'm going back to school in January. So that's short-lived, and then I'm going to go back to school for my master's in January.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yes, it is, thanks to this program.
You are the second person that we've talked to here that is going back to school.
Which is awesome. I think it just pushes you out of your comfort zone and makes you re-prioritize, what's important in your life. Oh, this program does. So that doesn't surprise me, really.
Nice. Yeah, and actually you're the third person in the program, because I know Jackie did too. So that's really cool. Why don't you talk about what your relationship with your body was like before you started the program?
Pretty much my body could do no right. I was dieting a lot, and I wasn't losing weight anymore. It worked for a while, but it stopped. And I really didn't like my body. I didn't like my life. I didn't like how I feel, like how I felt about my body, and how I felt most days when I woke up. I was just uncomfortable. And I thought that losing weight would make me more comfortable, but it didn't. I was still uncomfortable. When I was skinny, I was uncomfortable, and when I was fatter, I was uncomfortable. So it was really something I needed to work on internally, not externally, but it took me a really long time to figure that out.
Yes, and I love how you said when I was skinnier, I was, uncomfortable. When I was fatter, I was uncomfortable, and then it really was about what was going on inside. I think that's really important for people to realize.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people think, oh, if I only weighed whatever it is, X, I would be happy. And that wasn't the case for me at all. Still wasn't happy. And I was hungry. I was hungry all the time.
Yeah, totally. And so what were some of the frustrations specifically that you had at that time?
I think I was just frustrated with, as I said before, I could really do no right. If I ate everything I was supposed to eat and I worked out exactly the way I was supposed to, I still wasn't at a place I wanted to be. And if, life got in the way and I didn't do everything I was supposed to do, then I would be beside myself and I would binge eat, which was not just as unproductive as not eating at all, which is what I was doing. So I would be either not eating at all or barely eating or binge eating. So I could really do no right. I was guilty either way, which was just really a horrible way to live, is just out of guilt.
Yeah. Yeah. And what made you decide to do things differently? Like to say, all right, I'm not going to try and manipulate my body anymore. I'm going to do the inner work.
Well, I started back in February of this year, so which is a couple months ago now. And the truth is, at that point, I was the heaviest I had ever been. I was trying to diet, but it wasn't working anymore because I had dieted for so long. I mean, I probably dieted for 15 years out of 24.
Wow.
So when they say, why do you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
Yes.
That's what I was doing. I was like, this is obviously not working. This dieting, this binging, this guilt, this is not working anymore. And I didn't want to be 50 years old and have these issues. I wanted to just nip it in the bud and just be done with it now at 24. I didn't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so cool is that you are 24 and doing this. And I think that a lot of women, you were probably one of the younger or youngest person doing it with the group. And that was it's so incredible to see someone younger doing this work now, because the longer you wait, the more ingrained those negative beliefs go. So I just major kudos to you for making this super mature decision.
It's such a weird thing because I think get to that point where there's really, what do you have to lose, you know? If you're already miserable and feeling guilty, really, what do you have to lose
Yeah.
to try it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What were some of the key stepping stones along the way for you that really helped you have those shifts?
I think even though I consider myself to be a kind person, I think realizing that I'm not a kind person to myself all of the time, that my inner voice really wasn't as compassionate as I'm compassionate to everyone I meet. Like I said, I consider myself a kind person, but I was not being kind to myself. And sometimes when I realize that just because I think it doesn't mean it's true, that was a big deal for me. Kind of doubting my own self-talk. So, when you have that horrible thought that we all have about ourselves, kind of questioning, well, why am I thinking that? What is the defense mechanism, for thinking that way, or telling myself, no, you shouldn't do that. You can't do it. Don't even try. So I think the biggest stepping stone or realization was that questioning what I said to myself every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was that impact on you once you kind of started to navigate that differently?
Well, I definitely am not I would love to say I'm that super confident, oh, I got this person. And I'm not most days, but it's almost like in some ways I'm neutral, which is so empowering because I'm not oh, I'm awesome. Look at me. I look great. But most of the time I don't even think about it, which is crazy because I have so many more important things to think about in my life than oh, how do my arms look? How does this look? How does, and worrying about it. And I know we'll talk about it later at some point, but this would have never happened. The sleeveless dress thing, this would have never happened 6 months ago on camera. Oh my God. It would have been the end of the world.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
And I wore this all day. I wore this out. I wore this with my boyfriend, and it was you just don't think about it anymore. It's okay, this is a cute dress, and I'm going to wear it because I like it, and that's it.
I love your honesty, though, about how it's just feeling more neutral and feeling just not really thinking about it anymore, because that's the truth. That's the truth of it. I think it would be it'd be a little strange if you walked around thinking you were awesome I mean, you'd be great, but it'd be a little strange.
I definitely still have those days where I won't lie. When we got on the camera, I was geez, oh, look, oh, I wish the camera was higher. You can see my chin. That's freaking me out. So, of course, I still have those, little things. But, like I said, I think more than super positive, I think when I walk in front of the mirror, I don't think, oh, my God, you look horrible, or, oh, my God, you look gorgeous. Just think, oh, yep, there you are. That's you. You know, so I think that's just... Because, again, there are so many better things to do with your time and energy than worry about what other people think and what you think about yourself. There's just so many better things to do.
Yeah. And so what are some of the specific things you've noticed about how you feel now?
Well, one of the big things is being able to wear most of my clothes, which I couldn't do before. I would have to... I'm in Chicago suburbs. It's hot. It's still hot here. So I would have to wear a sweater over this last summer, and I would be miserable, and I would be sweaty, and I would just be disgusting. But that was the only way I could wear this kind of thing. So there's just so many things. Now I go to an exercise class that I like 2 days a week, as opposed to working out 5 days a week and being miserable because I was supposed to, which I will. Oh, and I threw in my scale. That's a big thing. I like that. So talking in my sleeveless dress with no makeup on, that's a crazy thing for me. Which I love because I'm you know what? This is me. If you don't like me, then that's you. That's not me. That's on you.
And what about your pole dancing? Do you want to talk about that? Because I think that's really cool too.
Well, it's definitely still a challenge. It's not easy. Oh my God. I guess I didn't think it would be easy, but it's really not easy. And I appreciate, oh my gosh. So that is something probably wanted to do for 3 or 4 years. And I always thought, well, I'm not going to go because I'm not skinny enough yet. I'm not strong enough yet. I'm not whatever, pick the, problem. I'm not whatever it was yet. And people will see me and they're going to judge that I'm bigger or whatever. And now I'm the biggest I've ever been. And I go, and there's a huge body diversity. There are people that are stronger than I am, weaker than I am, bigger than I am, smaller than I am, taller, shorter. Huge body diversity. And I think that's a community that really embraces body positivity as a whole. Even though that sounds kind of odd, that I found is a great community because they don't care. They just want to have fun. They want you to have a good time and they want you to feel good about your body and feel sexy in your body, which is, I think, something, especially at 24, I don't think you're ever told like, yeah, you should feel sexy in your body. Well, except for like the Victoria's Secret ads. And then you're like, well, I don't look like that, so I don't feel sexy at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, these are people who are like, no, we want you to feel sexy no matter what you look like. So, which, like I said, I just never had encountered that, like, in my lifetime. People saying, oh yeah, you should actually feel good about yourself instead of bad. I mostly just grew up with, you should feel bad because you're not shorter, smaller, whatever. Pick the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love it. Even though it's hard, even though I come home and I have bruises all over my legs half the time, I love it because it's just such a positive place to be. And
so
it's
cool.
Great exercise. I'm getting muscles that I never knew I had before.
That's so cool. That's so great. What were some of the other highlight moments for you?
There's just so many little things. I think this happens to me relatively frequently, so it reminds me a lot. Not engaging, like feeling like I could not engage, even defend that diet talk. Like there was a time where I would have to engage if a group of my friends were all talking about what they were doing this week, whatever it is, whatever diet or plan or shake or fast. I would engage and try to be like, well, I'm also doing this. I'm keeping up. And then there was a point where I had to defend, like, you shouldn't do that either. And now I'm pretty, like, I don't even touch it, which I think is a strength in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Because it probably happens. I mean, I think just as women, we're in those situations. I feel like I'm in the situation at least once a week where somebody's like, well, here's what I'm doing. And realizing like, okay, that's them and you're okay. It has nothing to do with you. And I'm reminded of that a lot because I see it so much. Of course, there's big things like wearing sleeveless shirts, going to pole, throwing away the scale. There's those big things. But I think just on like an everyday or every week basis, it's really sort of feeling unapologetic. I think that's what it is, where if somebody says, well, what are you doing? What kind of diet are you on? Or what are you I'll say, like, I'm not dieting and I'm not sorry. Sorry. I'm like, sorry, I'm not sorry. I know you want me to apologize or be sorry for it, but I'm not. Because I'm not dieting. I ate an ice cream cone right before this, so I really...
You don't care. It's amazing.
Well, it's just... And you don't... I think it's just not even just not caring, but not letting society or your friends or your family or whoever make you feel guilty about what you're not doing anymore. Those negative behaviors. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a difference between not doing them and still feeling guilty about not doing them, which I had for a long time. Like, yes. I wasn't doing it, but I was still feeling like I was like, but I should be. I'm not, and I should be. And now I'm like, I'm not, and I don't care. Sorry. It is what it is. I'm happy and fat, and it's awesome.
And you mentioned, I love that, by the way, just your attitude in general. But you mentioned when we first started about how you made the decision to go back to school. So how did, what change kind of happened mentally for you that enabled you to do that? Just I would love you to kind of elaborate on that.
I think it's one of those things where we were really working on one aspect of my life, which was food and my body and self-confidence. And I think once you start making a change and you see positive change, you start going, well, what else can I change? Wait a minute. What else can I improve? You know, like I really attacked something and I made a difference in that part of my life. So I was like, wait a minute, maybe I could put that on work or my relationship, or like, I think it's a little addictive. Like once you start, and even though it's hard, I think it's like once you start changing your life or changing your perspective, it's really hard to stop or just apply it to one part of your life. So I was like, well, I'm really happy now with my body. I'm really happy with pole. I'm really happy with working out. I'm pretty satisfied, but I still wasn't satisfied with work. And I think a lot of people aren't. And so I was like, so what can we do about this? And I was like, well, it's time. I have to go back to school and go do something that I've known I wanted to do for years, but it just wasn't what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to start working, make money. You know, I was the first person to graduate college in my family, so that was good enough. Mm-hmm. And that was good enough. So you don't need to go any further. Don't worry about it. That was good enough. And now I'm like, no, actually, I'm going to go get 2 master's degrees next year. So no big deal. So I think it's once you start changing, it's really hard to stop.
You are so brilliant. It's so true. And I think it's not in a way of like you find something else broken about you. It's just that you build the confidence to know that you can actually make things happen in your life.
And I think you realize what you want. Like, I think when you don't feel great about yourself, you accept. I think when you don't treat yourself very well, you accept other people not treating you very well, and that's not going to happen anymore. So, because I think, like you said, once you get that confidence up, you're like, no, I know that I'm worthy of this. I know that I'm worthy of a good relationship. I know that I'm worthy of, you know, happiness in my work. I know I'm worthy of all that, so I need to go get that.
So cool. You are going to have your own podcast someday. I can see it.
Except that I'm so bad with public speaking or speaking in front of people. So
you're not though. You're doing it right now, and you're killing it.
This is nerve-wracking in and of itself. This is scary.
Oh, but you've got such good thoughts. So tell me, how does this feel for you? How does it feel to get all this baggage off your shoulders?
It's good, but it's also a little scary because I think it's very freeing because you're like, oh, it's gone. But I do think it opens that door of like you said, it's not that you're finding issue with the rest of your life, but it's like, oh, I got this baggage off. Now I want to get all this baggage off. So I think it's phenomenal. I do think it's hard when you do any kind of work on yourself because you're so used to set behaviors and set people that like the people around you are kind of like, well, what's up with you? Like, why are you so happy? I'm like, because I'm happy. Like, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to explain to people sometimes. Like, I'm just happy. I don't know. So it feels great. It's just also like you just have to reevaluate, I think, what your priorities are and where you kind of fit. And I think sometimes bad or good, you lose people who are maybe fueling that negative.
Okay. So your relationships have kind of changed as a result.
Dynamics kind of change. Like, I've been with my boyfriend it'll be 10 years. Oh my God, next year. And I am requiring him to give me more attention and change kind of the dynamic of our relationship because I deserve it, damn it.
You do.
But I haven't put that out into the world before until this year. And he's happy to be, like, he's fine with that. He's happy to give me more. But I just never felt confident enough to, like, bring that up or bring up, like, hey, I'm feeling kind of manipulated or I'm feeling whatever I was feeling. I was so afraid for so long that sometimes when you bring up to a friend, like, you know, when you say that, it really hurts me, they're like so taken aback that you would even say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what? So I think relationships change. I haven't really lost relationships. I've just set new boundaries of like, you can't talk to me like that. You can't say that to me. That's just not acceptable. And that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like one of the growing pains of it. And I really appreciate your honesty on that, because it's true. It's true. Like things definitely change once you become more comfortable with who you are, more unapologetic, as you said.
Yeah. So I think it just, like I said, I don't think you lose people. I think the dynamics just change and your perspective changes. And I think, if there's anybody that doesn't want to see you happy, then they probably don't belong in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. So how's it feel for you? Like the Emillea now, if you look and compare yourself to the Emillea before?
Amazingly, I think there's a lot of the same person. I don't think I've changed too much as a person.
Yeah.
I think that what has really changed is that unapologetic, like, this is who I am. Like, showing the parts of my personality that maybe I thought other people wouldn't like, that editing who you are based on who you're with.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that has subsided. Like, not that I don't care, like, oh, I just don't care. Of course I care. I care what my, employees think of me. I care what my family thinks of me. I care. But I think it's like, if you love me and if you like me, then you like me for myself. So I feel like there's still tons of work to do. I feel like I'm not like completely a changed woman overnight, or even in 9 months or 6 months, or I think it's always a process, and everybody's working on it all the time. But it's amazing because, again, compared to 6 months ago, it's very odd because I'm fatter and I'm happier and I have way cuter clothes.
That's awesome. That's so good, though.
And those two words, could never have gone together in my previous vocabulary. Like, there would be no way you would be bigger or fatter or pick the word and happier. There's just not possible in my previous life. And again, it's because I just didn't restrict myself. I ate what I wanted to eat, and now I've completely stabilized. I pretty much stayed I don't weigh myself. I haven't weighed myself since February. Mm-hmm. But my clothes I started going up, and I was terrified, and I finally leveled out where I'm like, yep, this is where I'm supposed to be. My body's happy here. And I've pretty much stayed the same the last 3 months now.
Yeah. That's great.
It all just leveled out, it all just went where it wanted to go, and it was, it was happy now. It's good where it is.
So good. That's awesome. And I've asked everybody else this. What's one piece of advice you have for the listeners today?
Change is really hard, and parts of the process really suck. Really suck. But if you're tired, I think if you're tired of doing the same thing over and over again, like I was, and you're not happy, it's time to try something new. It's time to try something new. You shouldn't be living your life because of what you should do. It should be what you want to do. And if you're not living the life you want right now, it's time to make a change. Even though it's hard and parts of it suck.
Spoken like a true badass. I really appreciate your honesty. It's good.
It's hard, and you will probably cry, but it will be better in the end.
I won't edit that out either. People are going to hear you say that.
Well, it's true. I think everybody at some point in our session, sometimes you gotta cry.
It's true. It's just your eyes having an orgasm. That's what I say. It's necessary.
You just gotta get it out.
It's necessary, and you just gotta get it out.
Yeah, that's me. Just gotta get it out. Mine's frustration, and then I cry, and then I'm over it. I'm like, okay, we're done with that now.
It's done. Cleansing, right?
Yeah,
totally.
Exactly.
Yeah. no shame in that. Well, I appreciate that so much, and I appreciate you taking the time today. And I'm celebrating over here with you. As I said, I just think you're brilliant. You're going to go on to do some really amazing things. I love that you've done this at your age. And it's just, you blow my mind. I wish I had been as on top of my own stuff when I was 24 as you are. So thank you, Emillea. I really appreciate it. I'm so honored that you were in my life and that you will continue to be in my life and that you are helping to spread this message to other people.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Rock on.